Hello and welcome to this short demonstration of FF&EZ's pricing tool. This utility sets product prices in a variety of ways using different filters to control what it affects. This is available in any profit-based project where a markup is used to create a sell price. In the latest versions, there is also an option that can set a specific vendor discount in the same way. This is available on all project billing types. The pricing tool is available under Utilities on 3 different screens: the specification list, the object list, and the FF&E worksheet. It works the same way on each, using the net costs shown on the specification screen to set prices, but this lets you review the results at different levels in the data hierarchy. Before we start, let's go to the specification screen to review how FF&EZ handles price calculations in a for-profit project. The pricing calculation starts with a base cost entered manually. You can adjust that with a discount that results in the net cost. Specifications inherit any markup or margin that you've set on the project screen. This project had a 10% default markup, so that appears on the spec screen, where you can override it for any product. When you edit a specification, changing the cost will recalculate the price based on the markup or margin. Changing the markup will also change the price. Changing the price will recalculate the markup, but it will normally also lock the price. The assumption is that FF&EZ should protect a manually entered price from accidental changes. So the system cannot normally change a locked price. Only you can do that. And a change to the cost will now recalculate the markup. This means that when you use the pricing tool, there may be a different scenario in play based on your knowledge of your own project. Let's propose this scenario for our demonstration. I want to reprice almost everything in the project. I want to use a base markup of 15% with specific markups on some product types. Right now, the project has a default 10% markup. There are 2 exceptions. I've already agreed to a specific price for a large piece of equipment and have agreed to pass along an installation services package at cost. I'm going to demonstrate a true ground zero procedure. I'm assuming I have entered all the costs and a default markup has been applied. If I'm not sure, the specification screen status check utility can double check for items that don't have costs or for which no vendor quote has been acknowledged. Depending on where you are in the project process, you may not choose to use everything I show here. This demo represents the best practice when you wish to set all prices yourself, starting from a known baseline. The first thing I'm going to show is to create a known starting point for this exercise. I'll do this by 1, removing any existing price locks, and then 2, setting and locking our pricing exceptions. Note that you can always go back and handle exceptions after the fact, but this is just one way to do it. To do this, I will call up the pricing tool, which is available under the Utilities command. Then I will unlock all the specifications by setting the entire project as the scope, then leave the change option set to no change. Last, I'll select the Unlock the Price option at the bottom. On the right, you'll see the system showing the eligible specs, which are currently those that are locked. When I click Process/Close, the command executes and returns us to the screen, unlocking all the prices in the project. This does not change any of the current markups or prices. Now I will address our 2 exceptions. I need to fix the price for an emergency generator at a specific amount. I'll use the search tool to locate the spec with generator in the description. That takes me to the spec I need to change. I double-click this price field to start editing, then enter the agreed price. When I press enter or use the tab key, the lock indicator is automatically set. Now the price can only be changed manually. I'll now save the change using the Control-Enter shortcut. Next, I use the Find command to find the installation package since it has an INST prefix. Since we have agreed to make this a pass-through cost with no markup, I can enter 0 for the markup and then manually lock the existing price. Now we are ready to use the pricing tool. Since I want to monitor the overall project results, I'll return to the FF&E worksheet and call the command again. I can move and resize the tool to let me see the project summary below it. Next, let's set the overall project markup to 15% instead of 10. I select all specifications again as the scope, then select the adjust prices option, and the second adjustment option, apply a markup. Notice that if I enter 15% and then select margin instead, the equivalent profit margin appears. You can use either method. Next, I can select any pricing options that apply. If I want to use psychological pricing, I can select one of those options. You can see the differences in the right column as I select next lowest 9, next lowest 5, and then disable the option. For this exercise, we don't need to lock any of the new prices yet, so we skip over the price locking section and click on Process. As I click, note that below the pricing tool, you can see the changes in the project totals and profit margins in the FF&E summary. Now, let's set all the equipment items to a 25% markup. Since we have coded our spec IDs to the product type, we can use the spec ID prefix option under Scope to select the EQP prefix. Note that when I check the results on the right, the generator does not appear because we locked that price. However, we can still override a locked price by using the Replace Price Even If Currently Locked option under Pricing Options. If I enable the option, the generator appears. We'll leave it disabled. You might use other scope options to set prices, and if you are on the specification screen, you can also set a query before calling the pricing tool from that screen and apply prices to the query results. Always check the results shown in the scope list. If you have done all pricing, you still have two other large-scale tools. The first is that you can bump your prices up or down by a factor. Although this affects the markup, it's important to understand that this is working from the price, not the cost. So if you enter 1, you get the same prices. If you enter 1.03, you are adding 3% to the current prices with the markups adjusted to match. If you enter 0.95, you are adjusting the prices down by 5%. You can use this option on a cloned project where a location-based cost of living factor merits an overall price adjustment. The second pricing option can be used to force the project closer to a total price goal. For instance, after setting prices with your usual methods, your total quote may be too high. If so, you can enter a target amount for the project. Keep in mind that locked prices won't change unless you override their locks. We'll enter a target of $1.5 million. Then let the system try to match it. Cumulative rounding effects and locked or psychological pricing may prevent an exact match, but you can get close enough to allow simple adjustments on product types or specific products. At this point, you can use the regular reporting functions to print a quote and present it. That leads us to two more uses for the pricing tool. If a client accepts your quote, you no longer want any accidental changes to the prices you quoted, especially if you later get a discount from a particular vendor. Let's deal with both situations. I'll bring up the pricing tool again and select all in this project scope. Instead of using it to change prices, I'll leave the first choice set to no change. Then under the price locking section, I'll select Lock the Price. When I click on Process, I've now locked all the prices in the project against anything but a manual change. Now, suppose a vendor or a supplier gives us an extra 10% discount based on the purchase size. Instead of adjusting individual costs, I can use the pricing tool. I'll use the first scope for a specific vendor. Then I will select the Apply a Vendor Discount under the Change options. If I enter 10%, I'm applying that to the base cost. If I had already added a separate 35% discount to that vendor's products, I would enter 45%. In all cases, the percentage you enter is used to calculate the net cost. You can only change the base cost manually. Although I can use the discount to adjust prices, I want to keep the extra discount as a profit, so I leave the Maintain Existing Prices option checked. When I select the Process button, the project's profit margin increases, leaving the approved quote to the client unchanged. That concludes our demonstration of the pricing tool's basic uses. If you have questions, please call or email us using the information on the contacts page. Thanks.